Okay, I'm going to call to order the regular open meeting of the United Laguna Woods Mutual Board of the Directors of California Nonprofit Mutual Benefit Corporation. It's Tuesday, June 9th, 2020, and it's a virtual meeting. Here we go. We have a quorum. We have Dick Rader. Okay, thank you, Dick, for joining us. I tried to get a hold of Cynthia. So I want to acknowledge the TV people who are doing a wonderful job in making these meetings go forward, and thank you very much. I'd like to call for, we need to add something to the agenda, and Carl, would you go ahead and read the resolution we'd like to add, make the motion to add a resolution. We'll first need to vote, get a 2/3 vote that we can add the resolution to the agenda. Thank you. Go ahead, Carl.
We'd like to add a resolution to have a all boards meeting to address the issues associated with the PAC. The PAC right now is being, at this particular point in time, it seems the GRF will probably vote in to have the PAC construction job started, and it's in excess of $5.5 million at this particular point in time. Parts of that PAC are maintenance, which doesn't come under 2.1.4 because maintenance is supposedly things that they need to do as a result of maintaining the particular property. However, we, in view of the review that we've done, or at least I've done and a couple of others, we feel that portions of that particular project are actually improvements, renovations, and things that will actually improve its particular. They're improvements. Let's put it that way. And as a result of that, we need to, and that is approaching $1 million at least. Okay, I didn't do all the numbers, and at this particular point in time, based on that, we feel that an all boards meeting, in order to be in accordance with 2.1.4, where it states that any improvements made that exceed $500,000 by GRF need to have an all boards meeting. We had a president's and vice president's meeting yesterday, and we discussed it and said that we really needed to do this because there are certain people within the community that feel that they don't want to spend $5.5 million, and others that feel that we need to. So we're going to put forward a resolution to address the fact that we want to have an all boards meeting, and that resolution will be under, I guess, 12A new business, I suspect, Sue?
Yes, exactly. Is there a second for the motion?
I'll second that.
Second the motion. Now I need a 2/3 vote, so I will take a voice vote. Cash, how do you vote?
Yes.
Elsie?
I abstain.
Netta?
Yes.
Manuel?
Yes.
Reza? I can't hear you. Turn your mic on, please.
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Anthony?
No.
Carl?
Yes.
Juanita?
Yes.
Andre?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so we have the 2/3 vote. We have 1 no and 1 abstention. Elsie abstained and Anthony no. We'll move on to, that will be added to 12A. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Yes.
I
Manuel?
second.
And Cash seconds. Is there any discussion? I think we'll take
Yeah,
the
I got
agenda.
I got some discussion.
Okay.
I just don't know what the big hurry is about this, but you didn't ask for any discussion on approving the agenda items, so I didn't get a chance to discuss it then. But I guess I'll say something now, which is this just kind of came out of the blue, and I just wondered what the hurry was. I'm not saying I disagree with the concept, but usually this would like come through a committee, right? It would come through M&C or.
Okay, Elsie,
maybe it's an emergency. And I just don't know.
Without having a all boards meeting. The GRF board had a 5-5 vote to go ahead with the PAC without having an all board meeting. And we felt that it was important to have an all boards meeting. The only way we could have an all boards meeting is if we ask for one and the president of GRF agrees with us, then we will have an all boards meeting. But they have already voted to go ahead with and just spend the money without having an all boards meeting.
Well, first of all, I said I agreed with the basis of it. It's just I didn't know what the hurry was. And you kind of explained it. So they voted to, I thought you said a 5-5 vote. What kind of vote was it?
It was a funny vote. It was a 5-6 vote. They called somebody on the phone and told them to vote yes. So it was.
That sounds like a GRF meeting. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a GRF closed meeting and it was pretty ugly.
I appreciate your clarification. Thank you.
Thank you for asking. I'm sorry. Okay, so is there any other discussion? Can I declare that the agenda is as is? All right, moving on. We have the approval of the minutes for May 12th and May 28th. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes?
Get the motion. You have to read.
Carl moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Okay, now discussion.
I have a question. I know Manny has brought up a few issues in there. And in 13E, okay, of the report of the meeting minutes, it mentions something called a 2EB link. I believe it's WEB link. Just some typo.
Okay. Okay. Any other typos that people want corrected? All right. If there's no discussion and no arguments, we'll move onward to the report from the chair. I've decided this year the United Board should accept the suggestion of the Laguna Woods Village Staff Media Specialist, Eileen Paulin, that our overall message should be kindness is the best policy. We've seen instances of protracted and overblown antagonism between neighbors that have gone on for years. And the mushrooming instances not only take up more and more of the board time, but are causing compliance staff more and more hours of work, thus ultimately additional cost to those of us who pay our HOA fees each month. Kindness is the best policy. It's not only the right thing to do, it's the most money-saving thing for each of us to do in our own community. Neighbors can be great, and neighbors can be nuisances. Most people do not like confrontation, and that's why compliance is called so often. Here are some simple tips to make your neighborhood friendly. Always say hi and acknowledge everyone. Let neighbors know if you're going to have work done on your manor. Keep areas that others can see presentable. Avoid gossip. Try to talk to your neighbors if there's a problem. Try to understand your neighbor's perspective. Have common courtesy. Follow the rules. This is especially important in these days when we're home so much of the time. The best way you can show concern for our neighbors is by wearing masks and physically distancing. By wearing a mask, you show that you care about the other person and do not want to be the one that infects them. It gives you very little protection since the virus can be transmitted through eyes, but it gives your neighbor full protection from you. Thank you, everyone. All right, we're ready for the open forum grant. Is there any call-ins or I guess it's Cheryl?
May I ask a question about your statement there, that Irene's statement? Will that be published somewhere and we can broadcast to all the community?
I will repeat. No, not that I know of. I will see what we can do about getting it published.
I would suggest that the VMS publish it, and we can use that as a general guideline for the community. Thank you very much.
Okay. Is Cheryl, who's the one that's taking care of this meeting? Who's the conference? Becky?
Yes, President Margolis and esteemed members of the board. I have 3 member comments today for you. The first one is Carol Beer at 789N. I read the letter in the May 21st Globe by David Cohen regarding our HOA fee. I agree totally with David that our HOA fee should be reduced because of the diminished expenses in the village. All of our activities had been shut down, so there is no reason to pay such high HOA fees now. Please write letters regarding this to the Globe or the General Manager's office because this is not fair to the residents. Carol Beer. Next comment is Elizabeth Roper, 153A. Her comment is, I would like the appropriate board to review the following issue. I am a resident of United Mutual. We are planning on placing our heat pump with more efficient mini splits. Our contractor and the alterations department has informed us that we need to have asbestos testing before the work can be done. The cost of testing the wall where 2 to 3 inch hole are cut is $950. Our unit has already been tested twice with less than 1% ACM waste found. Once we remove the popcorn ceiling and again when we remove the kitchen and 2 baths. Please provide justification and explanation on why we need to have this costly testing done a 3rd time. Thank you, Elizabeth Roper. And this is J.B. Holland Jr., 2012, D as in David. Member comment. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, my comment or question was initially read last month at the open forum of the May board meeting. At that time, the president asked VMS CEO Jeff Parker to respond. Mr. Parker stated he was not familiar with the numbers reflected in the summary financial statements for United Laguna Woods Mutual as December 31st, 2019. Therefore, he would look into the matter and respond directly to me. I was dumbfounded that the CEO of VMS would not be aware that the United Mutual was bleeding millions of dollars and the eroding member equity but nevertheless. I had patiently awaited his reply. As of this writing, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, on Sunday, June 7th, 2020, I've received no reply from Mr. Parker. So I am requesting that the board address my question or comment again at the upcoming board meeting on June 9th. Not only do I find the situation that prompted the question in the first place untenable, I find the absence of any reply even more concerning. Perhaps the treasurer of the board or the individual that signed April 2020 letter to the membership, Betty Parker, could provide some reason why the United Mutual is operating at a multi-million-dollar loss. Moreover, why isn't the board asking the same question? I will be listening in the virtual meeting on Tuesday, and hopefully that will not be passed off or ignored again. Sincerely, J.B. Holland Jr. I just received one more comment. Maxine McIntosh, 68C. Maxine is pleased that the board has overseen the laundry rooms. It is much appreciated. Some of her single neighbors live alone and appreciate being able to trade magazines, books, and other items with the other residents of the building. She would like to say thank you. That is all. Thank you for your time.
Okay. We have answers to the fee this time, so we'll go ahead and do the reduced fees and the heat pump. Carl, would you like to comment on the asbestos? Well, I don't know. Jeff, do you want to comment or Carl comment?
Sue, I think that at this particular point in time, if architectural controls or the city is requiring an additional permit to test for asbestos again, then that should come under Jeff and the city's purview, because I don't know why she should get it done again. I was told, because when I had my walls tested, that once you get them done, you get them done. So I don't know why it's happening again. So maybe Jeff can offer something, or maybe he can get back to us.
Or I'll be glad to follow up on that in architecture.
Okay.
And if Jeff has an answer, by all means, go for it. But I'll talk to you, Jeff.
I can do that. To the board, the requirements is part of the city permitting requirement, and also our policy with regards to the replacement of so it's specific to the area. It has nothing to do with the fact that she's had testing in other locations, such as the kitchen that she mentioned. It's specific to the replacement of that equipment. One of the recommendations for the staff was to have the replacement company, the ones that's doing the pump or the air conditioning unit, generally hires a sub to, once they drill the holes, to have a sub verify the asbestos issue, and that generally reduces the cost. So I don't know if she was, the cost she was reflecting was a separate asbestos analysis, but we will get back to her. We've responded already to her and provided the information, but maybe we can get more clarity for her.
The test should not cost more than $30. Let me tell you that there is a testing agent in Irvine that will do it for $30 and email you back a certificate. Okay. The reduced fees, we will be discussing that. I've put together a chart that will be appearing in the next magazine showing where the assessments go, and you will see where the assessments go. A lot of it is fixed costs. We will be looking at what we have. We also have a lot of fixed costs that we didn't have before, such as a lot of cleaning that has to be done and changes made to various buildings and so forth so we can get the staff back to work. So there are costs coming up, and we have to have the laundry rooms cleaned more often. There's a number of things that we're paying for, not necessarily the amenities, and you will see how little you're paying towards the amenities and what has to be done there. So we will be taking that up, and we'll be going into budgeting next month, and we will be able to share a lot more information at that time when we see where we are or if we're ahead. Okay.
Sue, if I may want to add just one point. Betty Parker did respond to Mr. Holland, provided the information that I didn't have off the top of my head, which was one of the reasons for the deficit, obviously, is your additional expenditures out of your reserves.
We're going to go through that in the next section. So
okay.
We're going to have Netta respond to the last month's, and Brian is going to go over what Betty's response for last month.
No problem.
May I comment on that? This is Andre.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'm on the governing dock committee. I'm the chair of the governing dock committee, and according to the occupancy agreement that everybody signed, I guess nobody read it, is Article 3 that states specific state about excess carrying charge. And in there, it stated clearly that if there's excess or shortage of any carrying charge, we will not refund at the end of the year. Instead, we will put it in the next year's budget for consideration. The reason being, if you have $1 million shortage excess, it takes more effort to distribute it back to each resident than just, okay, let's put it into back to the next year's expense. And if we have any shortage, we are not going to request a special assessment, so everybody need to give the money back. supplemental the extra expenses. So that's a standard of practice. Although we never encountered such a huge situation before, and most of the expenses are really from GRF. The United doesn't have that much expense. We are watching the expenses at this point, particularly about labor and contract expense. Those money will be taken care of, and we will assign them properly. So at this point, everybody signed the occupancy agreement, which we will discuss in the coming governing document review meeting, and everybody's welcome to review that and understand what you have signed for, okay? So that's my explanation, and everybody please join our discussion, and so everybody understand why things are done this way. Thank you very much.
Okay, Netta, would you go ahead and start, and then Brian will come on for the last one.
Okay. Public meeting update from May 12, 2020. 3 residents commented in the open meeting. Resident 363P, interested in converting carport to garages. Response, at the board meeting, CEO Parker responded that such a conversion would be expensive, but this could be explored if the board directs staff to do so. Director Randazzo, chair of the Maintenance and Construction Committee, explained that conversion would require installation of walls on each side of the carport and a garage door, and suggested that an individual owner might be able to do this as an architectural addition, as it would be very costly for the mutual to undertake this. Resident 2012D commented about the United Summary Financial Statement as of December 31st, 2019, and the net operating loss, and asked what the board is doing to address this.
Brian will address that, Netta. Brian will address that.
Oh, he want to do it now or later?
Come on in, Brian.
Okay. Resident 488D requested existing small dirt path running the length of 1 unit in common area between building 287 and parking lot be paved. Path gives access to walk without having to use the stairs and is used by people bringing groceries from the carport and to laundry room. It is utilized by people in wheelchairs and furniture movers. In the 3.5 years I have been living here, it has been used by EMTs on 3 occasions to bring in a stretcher. On Wednesday, April 15, this path was planted with bushes, now blocking off any use. Response. An informal request for a pathway was reviewed about 1 year ago, and the evaluation showed there was sufficient access with other paved surface, and this was a shortcut. This was re-reviewed based on current requests. Formalization of the shortcut is a very large project with ADA access requirements and would need to be designed by a civil engineer. To move forward would require board approval. Thank you.
Okay, Brian, would you go ahead and address the financial situation?
Yeah, the cliff notes on this are that it's a difference between what came into the reserve fund and what was spent out of the reserve fund. And the reserve fund was a planned expenditure, but we spent more out of the reserve fund than was coming in. And there was also sizable moisture intrusion expenses that came out of contingency fund. So it's not like money is being lost, but these were the reserve fund was planned, moisture intrusion costs were not, but that's a contingency fund. But those are both funds that accumulate over time. So that's why it appears like there's a loss, but it's really coming out of the savings, if you will. So it's basically coming out of reserve fund, which is planned in the contingency fund. Thank you.
Sue,
We have a large.
Sue, can I add to that explanation?
Go ahead, Manny.
Please do, Manning.
Okay, thank you. When you look at the financial statements, they're a little more complicated than most people anticipate when they look at them. And if you look at the income statement, you will see in revenues that it has contributions for assessments that go to reserve funds. And for example, for 2019, the actual assessment that came in as income is $12,367,000 for 2019, and the prior year was $11,900,000. Now, the expenditures for reserves, they're distributed all over the expenses. For example, some of it might be wages because the work was done by VMS employees. Some of it might be in repairs and maintenance, which would be amounts paid to outside contractors. And the place where you can really see what caused the loss of $3.3 million in 2019 and $1 million in 2018 is you would have to go to the administration building and ask for a complete set of the financial statements. The statement that you received in the mail only have the financial statements, and it excludes the notes to the financials. And in order to see this more clearly, you would have to go back to page 17, and that gives you a breakdown of what goes through the reserve funds. And for example, like Brian said, in 2018 and 2019, the amounts collected for replacements was $11 million. However, we spent $13 million. And for contingency fund, same thing. We collected $1.1 million in assessments, and we spent $2.7 million, and a lot of that was for water intrusion repairs. So the total for both the replacement fund and contingency fund, assessments were $12,900,000. The expenditure was $15,800,000, which is a difference of $3.5 million. So you can't see it on the income statement per se. It's in there, but it's not categorized for you to be able to see it, except for the assessments. The assessments do show up there at the top line in revenues. And that's as clear an explanation as anybody can offer you on it. And so you need the additional notes of the financials so you can see what I'm talking about. Thank you.
I want to make sure everybody understands that these were planned expenses. We are maintaining a good reserve, and we will continue to maintain a good reserve. There's probably over $13 million in the reserve, and we're not in any situation where we will have any problems. These were planned expenses. There were a lot of them were water heaters and things like that were planned to be replaced. Okay, moving on. We've got Dick Rader on for the VMS report.
Thank you. The VMS board has instituted key performance indicators, referred to as KPIs, so we can monitor how well VMS is meeting certain goals. Could I have the first slide?
Yes, momentarily.
I don't see any slide.
It's coming, I guess. This report includes the month of March. However, it was during March that we canceled activities, closed amenities, furloughed non-essential employees. And so these actions will affect some of the results that I'll be discussing. Next slide, please. Next slide. One of our goals is to have process improvement, have at least one process improvement per month. In this regard, we replaced our old tub grinder. There's some background noise. Can somebody mute everybody except myself? Thank you. One of our goals is to have one process improvement per month. In this regard, we replaced our old tub grinder, which turns green waste to mulch. After the return on investment, which is less than 6 months, the village will save on an annual basis $864,000 because we'll no longer have to pay to haul away the green waste. The village will also save an additional $535,000 annually because we will not have to purchase mulch. We will be producing it ourselves. Next slide. We're continuously monitoring the response time and also the time to resolve or complete customer requests for service. If we consider the top 5 requests for service through March, which are, they're listed there in the middle, janitorial, 100% completion, electrical, plumbing, paint, irrigation. We see that almost all requests were completed within 30 days. At the bottom 3, you will see at the bottom of that page that there's a lag time for some of the items to be completed. For example, pest control. Tickets for rodent control are held open until there's no more activity at the bait box. This usually takes about 90 days before these tickets are closed. I guess to improve these results, we're going to need better cooperation from the rodents. With regard to moisture intrusion, it often takes more than 30 days to complete repairs due to water damage. Next slide, please. This is a complete list of all the areas that provide services. In addition to the 5 that listed up at the top, the 5 that I just discussed, it shows all of the sections. And if you look on the extreme right, you will see that they're all completed over 90% of the time within 30 days. Next slide. Next slide, please. Next slide. There we go. Staff conducts continuous surveys to determine customer satisfaction once the job is completed. The customers are asked to rate a series of questions from 1 to 5, with 5 being highly favorable. Starting with the pie chart in the upper left, the satisfaction rate was 92% highly favorable for employee effectiveness. It was 86% for response time, 96% for employee courtesy, and it was 86% highly favorable for expectations being met. While there's some room for improvement, overall, we're doing pretty well. I want to thank you for your time. That completes my report.
Are there any questions from the board members?
Yes.
Go ahead, Andre.
Yes, I have some questions. Could you bring back the chart? Could you bring back the slides? Okay. The first question is: I understand the grinder is going to have a lot of expected savings. What about the actual savings? Looks like it should have some actual savings. I just want to see: is it possible to report, provide some kind of KPIs? Indicating what is the actual savings, so we know that we spend money on those the grinder.
Andre, I got the question. So we can probably get that information for you at a future VMS meeting. That was not provided in the staff report that I am reporting on.
Understood. This last page you have here, I understand the effectiveness and the time to responded very well, and you have VMS doing a great job. My concern are those 5%, 6%, 3% that are not doing very well. Do we have any plan to improve them, and any proposals? That's the process improvement side. The KPI is great. The process improvement side is probably what we're looking for. So is it possible to provide some feedback on that?
I had a question myself, and the question I had, and I didn't have time to get it answered, was did we follow up on the people who responded with, let's say, not in that portion that it wasn't highly favorable? And I wanted to get an answer. I didn't have time to get the answer, and that's what we'll have to look at. Why did the people respond negatively, let's say, or not highly positive? I think Siobhan has an answer.
Director Rader.
Siobhan, go ahead.
Thank you. We do follow up on any negative responses. Rebecca Jackson, who is here with us today, follows up personally with any negative inquiries, and then we follow up accordingly to implement any changes that may be necessary operationally.
Oh, thank you very much, and I think that should answer the question. Andre,
Yeah,
we will never achieve 100%. You can't.
No, I'm not asking for 100%. I'm just looking at a continuous improvement.
Okay, I think that's enough discussion. Carl, go ahead.
May I also ask that in the future, when we present this kind of chart, we also include what are the problems encountered and what kind of improvements we want to change. That will help us a lot. Thank you.
Carl?
Okay, so in line with this pandemic issue, obviously, Dick indicated that in many instances we're basically answering all the tickets and getting the work done. But obviously, since we've got a reduction in staff and what have you, a lot of that's not happening now because of the fact of the issue with this pandemic. So my question is, okay, how badly are we doing now with the pandemic, and what is the anticipated when we have these, supposedly this month we got electricians and plumbers coming back to work, okay, what is the anticipated catch-up on some of these items?
I would leave that to Jeff or Siobhan to respond.
Okay.
Which one of you wants to respond?
I will. On that, I think there's two answers to it. Number one, with regards to if we have the list of projects that are not emergency calls, we have that. We do have a number of those listed, and the time frame for getting that done will be incorporated in the time frames that were reported in that presentation by Mr. Rader. With regards to most of the calls that we've had with regards to emergency activities, we're responding immediately. So with regards to plumbers and electricians, anything that has to do with an emergency, we're responding, and that's why it's still within those categories that you see within the 30 days. We will have more detail with regards to ones that are planned programs, and we have to take a look at that because we have two issues there. One, people that are making requests but yet don't want us to come to their manners, and people that have made the request that we just need to schedule the work. So we have twofold going forward that we'll have to evaluate.
Yeah, but the intent of my question was to make the residents aware of the fact that we are a work in progress at this particular point in time.
Thank you both. All right, moving on. We're ready for the CEO report.
I'll thank Carl for that segue. Appreciate it. One of my first things I wanted to mention was yesterday we started to unfold a reopening plan for Laguna Woods Village. This is a PowerPoint presentation that I presented on TV6 yesterday. That same PowerPoint presentation is being emailed to every resident in both United and Third. It will also be mailed to those people that we don't have a registered email to, so that we want to make sure everybody in the community, in the village, gets a copy of this reopening plan. This reopening plan basically analyzes and shows you how we are following the state and Orange County orders and regulations with regards to what we can and can't reopen in the village. It talks about our process of how we kept certain activities already and never closed. We called those essential operations. A number of them were in the village, so it's a listing of that so people understand what we were doing and never stopped doing versus as Carl just mentioned, what were some of the activities that were curtailed, and when do we anticipate reopening those activities so our residents have basically a timeline that they can refer to, and then ask additional questions with regards to that. The focus really is on in the PowerPoint is in two areas. One, our services, and then our programs. And the difference is the services are what VMS provides to the residents, like moisture intrusion, plumbing, electricity, landscaping, those type of services. The activities are more focused in the recreation activities and projects that we have going, whether it's a construction project, such as the upgrade at the tennis facility, I'll use that, and also the reopening of activities such as golf, tennis, pickleball, and as we, what the PowerPoint basically explains is as we get the recommendations coming out of the state and coming out of the Orange County Health, we put together that game plan and then we start the implementation. And the important point of that I want to focus on is that bringing back employees to start upgrading our activities, whether it's in manner alterations, moisture intrusion, painting, any of those that are in our maintenance and construction. One of the things that we have to do because of the new guidelines for OSHA and our own safety here for our employees is to make sure that we have the right social distancing, we have the right personnel equipment so that they are protected, the mask, the gloves, that type of thing. So that distancing, those making sure that they have the right PPE is a strategy that we're putting together for each of our activities. And with that, we will then bring back the employees as fast as we can, ensuring both the activity is occurring in the village, reoccurring in the village, and also the safety for our employees. The second thing I wanted to mention relative to that is as we are opening these facilities, it is not the old process, it is the new norm. So within each category that we're opening, using golf and tennis as examples, we have a new reservation system. We have requirements with regards to where you're wearing a mask, then when you don't have to wear a mask, what you touch and don't touch. All of these will be guidelines that we will put into place prior to that activity reopening. And we've done a really good job of using our media and communications team as well as Brian's team in recreation to make sure that all of those are being disseminated to those people out there that are enjoying those activities. Again, the focus is we want to reopen these activities, but we want to be safe and secure for the community. And one of the reasons for that is as much as we have done a great job in the village, and we really have, and kudos to the board and all the residents out there, we only still have 10 cases for Laguna Woods. There has been as we have seen the reopening of Orange County and the state of California, there has been a uptick in not only the cases, but more importantly right now, we are at our highest level of hospitalization and ICU cases that we've seen in Orange County since the reopening. And so we want to be careful out there, and we want to do it appropriately. And so those are the guidelines, and they're talked about in there. And then we are asking the residents to send in their feedback, their comments on that. And we are putting together a panel for TV6 at 10:30 on Friday. So hope everybody looks in for that. This panel will be a medical panel of some experts talking about the need for what we should be doing at this point in time, how we should be monitoring our situation, how that implies to our reopening plan. And so Lisa from TV6, myself, and the experts will be hosting that panel on Friday at 10:30 on Channel 6. So look forward to having your comments submitted to us prior to that, and then we will ask those doctors for their advice and considerations. And that's one other thing I wanted to mention in my report today is something that we've been working with not only United as certainly one of the key players in this, but also Third. But I want to thank United for certainly starting the request. Is we're putting together a listing, I will call it a documentation of all our standard operating procedures, how many procedures we have written down, how many procedures we do from just a manner of an operation type activity. And we are putting that together right now. Chuck from IT has been our lead manager on that. We have over 600 standard operating procedures that we're looking at and evaluating, and we'll continue to evaluate to put together even more. We anticipate that at the end of the day, we'll probably have over 1,000 SOPs for the organization, which is probably maybe a little surprise for everybody. And then we'll go about and start that reevaluation process of what are our best SOPs, what do we need to tweak going forward. But that is a project that we've been working in concert with certainly United asking for that, and we're putting that together and hopefully have a more complex report to you at your next board meeting. And then I'll turn it over to Siobhan. I think she has a couple things.
Thank you, Jeff. Honorable President, members of the board, just a few quick announcements this morning. As Mr. Parker mentioned, the Tennis Center Improvement Project started yesterday. This is a 3-phased project that is expected to be completed by early October. Phase 1 includes tennis building interior improvements, including tile, fixtures, paint, and doors. Phase 2 are exterior improvements, including new walkway areas, retaining walls, seating areas, and fencing. Phase 3 is the new HVAC system for the tennis building. I also want to remind our residents about the bulky item pickup schedule. In-home and monthly Saturday pickup services remain temporarily suspended due to COVID-19. There is, however, regular curbside pickup, and to schedule a pickup, residents must call Resident Services at 949-597-4600. One day after the resident's usual trash day, Waste Management will pick up items that are placed by the trash bin. Again, so please call Resident Services if you need that service. The Orange County Mosquito and Vector Control District asked me to provide an update this morning since they are experiencing a call increase from residents about swarming bugs in our community. Aliso Creek, for instance, is having a hatch out of certain flying pests. These include mayflies, gnats, crane flies, and midges. These bugs can be annoying, but they are not mosquitoes, and the good news is that they do not bite. If the pests become a nuisance, residents are encouraged to fill out the tip form on the district's website and submit a request, and they will come out and look at the concern. The website is www.ocvector.org, and you go to the Services tab and submit a tip if you need service from the Vector Control District. And also, they are planning to be at next month's board meeting to give a brief overview of what residents should do to combat mosquitoes this mosquito season. And lastly, the city is asking us to encourage our residents to complete the 2020 census if they have not done so already. Our participation rate is almost 80%, which is 20% higher than both the state and national average. But again, they encourage residents to complete the census if they have not done so far. And if there are any questions, City Hall can help you with the census, and their telephone number is 949-639-0500. Thank you.
Okay, the first question comes from Anthony.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to ask either Siobhan or Jeff about that unmanned automatic gate contiguous with San Sebastian between the library and Building 969. It doesn't seem to be any activity going on there. It just still has the caution tape around it. I'd like to know where we're at with that.
I can answer that, Anthony. We are waiting for parts to make those repairs. So I will get an update for you in terms of the timeline.
Thank you.
Next, we have Juanita.
Thank you. Jeff, you mentioned that you were emailing your report to United and Third and mailing to those who did not have an email. May I remind you, I'm sure I probably don't have to, that Mutual 50, the towers, are members of GRF, and they need that as well. So please make sure that that gets over to them.
We will do, definitely.
Brian?
Yeah, I was wondering, as employees come back, if there was a plan to take employees' temperatures as they come to work in the morning?
We are working right now with a plan to not only to address distancing, but how we're laying out our facility. And one of the guidelines from OSHA is looking specifically at how we're going to take temperatures. So yes, we are anticipating a protocol with regards to temperature taking. We're just trying to figure out how that precise protocol will be established.
Ray?
Yes, I have several questions. And I've received a lot of requests about why no refund. I explained to them some of the refund, they're talking about facilities. That's from GRF. That's not from United. And maybe what we can do is advise that encourage the mutuals or GRF to provide a revenue and expense report. And there are a few accountants out there on the among the residents that are interested in that. So that's probably one thing, maybe a little bit more detail on that. Second, there's a noise there. Okay. The second thing is the outdoor fitness. Can we have more details? Like a lot of people, I know that there are quite a few activities at Clubhouse 1 patio area. They wonder if their activity is allowed from there. Early in the morning. So that's the question I received. If I can get an answer on that, it would be great. When you talk about the new norm, not the old norm, I understand you're implementing a lot of new procedures. Are we providing tools and equipment? How do we get the expenses? Do you need any supplemental expenses? Do you have that? For example, hand sanitizers in a lot of activities. Will we provide that kind of a service for equipment or hand sanitizers? And if they don't wear masks, do we provide them, or can you give us some information on that? Thank you very much.
Okay, let me answer in order. So with regards to activities like at Clubhouse 1 in the outdoor activities, we are actually starting to work at programming, specific programmings that we can host through our recreation department in outdoor activities such as yoga or Tai Chi. As long as we can create the social distancing, having an outdoor class is appropriate and certainly something that we're working on through our recreation department. With regards to as we move forward with opening up facilities, we will be requiring, depending on the status of it, we're requiring the use of masks in certain characterizations. We will require certainly our employees to be wearing masks. We will have additional sanitation sites located in those activities, especially in the areas when the gyms are reopened, cleaning down of the equipment. We're going to have protocols for all of those, and those protocols are in the works right now to ensure that when we get the okay from the state and county that we can open up some of these facilities, all of them are requiring certain protocols, and so we have to follow those protocols, not only because of the state mandates, but because of our employees. We have the OSHA guidelines as well.
Okay, Manny?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have two questions for Jeff. The first one has to do with the opening up of the village, and the second one has to do with certain work that is behind schedule. Regarding the village, I watched your presentation on television yesterday, Jeff, and what I noticed was that it described it as 4 different phases. But what surprised me was that in the third phase, it's blank. It's just a continuation of what went into effect in July. And then it jumps to September, which is the final fourth phase. And then you have the new programs going on. And so is it because they're just going to see how all the openings go and just kind of leave July, open, or August, August open to see how it goes? That's the first question. The other question I have is, I live near the intersection of Avenida Sevilla and Avenida Mallorca, and between 61 and 62. And I got a lot of neighbors that are asking me about when the painting schedule is going to start again, because that was supposed to take place back in November, December, and so they're getting anxious. I'm sure they recognize, because of the protocol, that you got to be careful, but they would like an update. So those are my two questions. Thank you.
With regards to the first one, a good perception and catch, I guess, Manny. For the reason for that is that what we're kind of trying to mirror the state and Orange County, and what has occurred in some of what was known as Phase 3 under the state's original plan. The state has moved up into what I guess some people have called Phase 2B, i.e. in dining in restaurants now. That was originally in Phase 3. So we do look at the flexibility that in July and in August in particular, that we are going to be able to accelerate some of our openings of our facilities that we're now showing in the later phase. One of the ones that in particular we've had a lot of dialogue about is our work in the painting and pre-painting and our carpentry work with regards to making sure that our dry rot program gets up and going again. There's a lot of debate out there with regards to whether painting was considered an essential service. We can't get any clarification from the state, because all they do is tell us, well, just keep looking at the list, and when it gets added, then you can do it. So that's why we left that area, because we think activities will start to open up during that time frame, but they are essentially in a area where they're in the August category, like you recognize, but we think that they're going to be moved up. Such as another example I want to use is that bulky item pickup that Siobhan was talking about. That our waste management company. I think once they are given the opportunity to come up with their plan as to how they can have multiple people in one vehicle, then we will get the go-ahead to move forward with the bulky item pickup sooner than after August. And that's my anticipation. That's why we left that blank. I'm going to have to get back to you on your second question with regards to that other location, other than the fact that I do want to say that every protocol that we're looking at, we're evaluating as to when can we get back into what I'll call the normal operation. We don't want to be out there forever not operating. I mean, that doesn't make any sense for the village. Certainly our essential ones we've done. We are now bringing back our plumbing, full-time, all of our plumbers and electricians with regards to our activities, so we can get manner alterations and repairs up, and we can get into moisture intrusion even fully operation as they are now. But we have other operations such as plumbing, electricity that we want to get into. Getting back to that question that Carl had was, when are we going to get back to the list of people who have called in and asked for just general repair and get those back and get them repaired in a normal operation? We have to do that. Again, going back to the employee side, I got to make sure that I have the right social distancing, I have the right equipment for them, which we do, but more importantly, it's how do they get checked in, how do they congregate at lunches, all of those things. And again, going back to the protocol with regards to, are we going to take their temperature, how often are we going to do that? Those are guidelines that we're receiving from OSHA on a daily basis, as well as the state of California and Orange County. So I know that was a long-winded answer to you, Manny, but I'll get back in more particular to you on that one item.
Thank you,
Okay.
Jeff.
Cash, it's your turn now.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A couple of questions for Jeff.
One, you talked about your Friday panel. Is that going to be live answers to you, or you want the answers beforehand?
I'm not sure I could hear that. Cool.
Cash,
Do
we're
you want to call in or not?
Say it again, Cash.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Basically, for your Friday panel, you want the answers up front or at the meeting?
They will be answering the questions at the meeting. It'll be a live broadcast. If we get your questions ahead of time, that's easier to compile them and put them in categories. But we will take emails up to the meeting date for sure.
Cash, I can provide an email address for those questions if you'd like the email address.
Yeah, live email address can be answered at that time. Yes, definitely. Second thing I want to insist on is I've seen some people, I don't want to mention any names, wearing masks the wrong way. Can we make sure that that doesn't happen? Because one that was wearing a mask wrong way with the nose open was even coughing. So can we follow up on that properly when people come back in so that everybody wears the mask the way it's supposed to be worn? Not on the chin and not just on the mouth or on the forehead. Thank you.
We can do that. We're certainly doing that with our employees. So if there's additional information we can put up on our website with regards to the proper care and maintenance with regards to wearing masks, we will do that.
Perhaps we should put out something in the next blast or something showing a little thing about how to wear a mask. It might be worthwhile to give our residents, because I've seen residents with them incorrectly. Okay, Elsie?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have a question for Jeff, but I wanted to take advantage of Siobhan's offer to give us an email address for questions for the medical team on the 12th.
Okay, I'd like to have that. We'll have Grant put it across the screen if possible after this, after all the questions are answered.
Okay. So my question for Jeff is, just want to put in a big plug for termites. Like, everybody's real concerned about dry rot and asbestos and water intrusion and blah, blah, blah. And, but I'm from California and I'm concerned about termites. How's that? Are we getting back this? I know we don't start until about now. So how's that going?
We are back fully geared up for that. The scheduling process through MNC is started. We have to obviously identify the buildings that we're going to be doing that. We've also been in contact with our providers with regards to where these people are going to be staying when they get relocated. So yes, that is a fully operational and back on schedule operation in MMC at this point in time.
Thank you very much.
Andre? Yes. I have a question about a lot of the activities, scheduled activities, activities that are scheduled. Okay, we understand that epoxy is scheduled and pushmatic panel is also scheduled. And there are a lot of other activities like paintings, and MS is doing a great job scheduling those activities. However, there are sometimes urgencies that they have a problem, they need to be served right away, or they will delay their enjoyment of their units and causing more problems. Causing more money on those issues, and there are sometimes long delays. For example, my pushmatic panel was delayed for over 9 months, and I have no idea. But as soon as I called it, they jumped right on and said, "Okay, you're the last one of this season." So I'm curious. That's why I didn't understand what. I didn't know that there's a schedule, because if there's a schedule, we need to be close to that. Maybe a 1 week difference or something like that. But it seems like 9 months is way excessive. So my question is, is it possible that we accommodate some urgencies and emergencies situations, so those issues will be jumped on right away? I know epoxy lining accommodate that. If somebody has an emergency with their sewage pipe, sewage system leak, and anything that, they will jump right on that. And I don't understand how come Pushmatic doesn't take care of the urgency issues. Just they have to follow the schedule. Could you explain that a little bit? Thank you.
So if we get a call, I think hopefully I can answer the question right. When we get a call in or a ticket through resident services and we have a leak or a water damage with regards to a unit, that needs immediate repair. That is considered an emergency, obviously, and in those cases we've always had emergency plumbing staff and electrical staff, and obviously we contract out for moisture intrusion repair. We've always had that contract in operation. That's never stopped since the COVID-19 issue. So it is based on the actual situation that it determines it's an emergency versus somebody calling in and saying, hey, I have a light out and it's been out and the switch doesn't work, but it's not an emergency from the perspective that they have other power or another situation. So if it's just a repair, that's being registered with resident services going on the list. And now that we have it on that list and have not been actively pursuing those, but now that we have our electric and plumbing team coming back, we'll be able to go back to our normal operations with regards to those activities. But with regards to the other ones that you mentioned, you went through the M&C committee, and the M&C committee made recommendations to the board as to what projects on that project list we were going to slow down on or not commit to doing at this point in time. A couple of those were activities to look at saving money. A couple of those activities we're looking at with regards to the intrusionary impact that it has on residents at this point in time, such as the epoxy and the copper lining, where we're going in and basically we're going to be in there a long time during that manner, and we're going to be, masking that with plastic and protecting all those areas. And we know that we have a number of residents who are not comfortable at this time wanting us to go in and do that type of work until there is a calming down, I will say, of the COVID-19 issue or a resolution to it via a vaccine of some type. So that's something that we're constantly going to evaluate and have that discussion with the M&C committee, and then they will forward that recommendation on to the board.
Okay, Brian?
Yeah, I just want to comment about as we roll out procedures for our employees and that, I'd like to see that extended to our suppliers as well. We have several suppliers coming in doing work, vendors and that sort of thing, and they should be subject to the same requirements that we hold BMS employees to.
I think that's. I think there's two levels of that too, Mr. Gilmore. I think one is our vendors, certainly where we have a contractual agreement with them. We've been working on that, and at our gates we do have signage up with regards to individual vendors that are coming out for individual residents to, again, ask them to follow the protocol wearing masks. That is on a more voluntary basis with regards to that type of vendor.
Okay, Carl?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. One of them has to do with two items that we just discussed, and that is with regard to masks and the Pushmatic panels. With regard to masks, believe it or not, some people are wearing their masks not over their nose or what have you, okay? And I only know this because I know of a couple of people that are actually they actually have this particular condition, and that's claustrophobia, believe it or not. A lot of us do not have claustrophobia when it comes to a mask. However, there are some people that do, and while we would like them to wear it correctly, okay, it may be difficult for them. So I just want to put that out there and let everybody know about that, because I know of a couple of people that are claustrophobic with masks on. With regard to the Pushmatic panels, those panels, the replacement of those is not considered an emergency, and that's why it's over a 5 or 6 or 7 year program, okay? We tried to change out all the Pushmatic panels to the GE panels because in the future, the GE breakers and what have you, okay, have the tendency of lasting longer, and that's the name of the game today in today's market. Even though Pushmatic still makes their panels, the other thing right now has to do with the fact that we have a I forgot what the heck I was going to say again. Yes. Jeff, I've had a number of people start asking me about the possibility, and I was going to mention this at President's and Vice President's meeting, but I forgot. Permits for new construction items in the manors. And a lot of people are looking to get some work done. And I noticed in your little thing yesterday when it came out, and you also showed it to us at the President's and Vice President's meeting, that is not mentioned as to opening up the permitting from architectural to start work within the manors as to when that could occur. So I think that's something that a lot of people who might want some work done within their manors to think about and ask that when that might be put on the list.
We'll go by look at that.
Now. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that we are gearing up to get fully operational with regards to manor alterations and moisture intrusion.
Okay. I'd like to move on now to the consent calendar. Do I have a motion to accept the consent calendar?
I move.
And Cash seconds. Thank you. Is there any discussion? All right. Let's take a vote then. Cash. Yes. Yes. Elsie.
Yes.
Netta.
Yes.
Daniel.
No.
Are you still not comfortable?
I still have not seen any changes in the accounting for the bank accounts.
Okay. Reza?
I abstain.
Brian?
Yes.
Anthony?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Juanita?
Yes.
Andre?
Yes.
Okay, it passes. Let's move on to the next item, which is the election to schedule. Oh, that was one. Juanita, would you give us make the motion for the election vote policy, please?
I'd be happy to. I move that we accept the new membership and election vote policy, which puts us in agreement with the state regulations that came out in January.
Is there a second?
Yes, I second.
Okay, Andre seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, I'm going to call the vote then. Assume, is there anybody that wants to vote against it? All right, let's move on. Andre, will you make the motion for the change in the appeal policy.
I saw a move.
Why don't you give a little, okay. Is there any discussion? Or is there a second first?
I'll second it.
Okay, is there any discussion? All right, I'll assume that everybody, is there anybody against it or want to abstain? All right, let's move on to the new business. Carl, will you go ahead and give us the motion from the new business? Put your mic on. Carl, your mic.
Yeah, sorry. I was in another, I was in the PDF to look at the item. The motion here is to request from the GRF board that we have a all boards meeting to consider the PAC construction contract, which will be in the $5.3 million category, and then the construction project, which will exceed $5.5 million. With regard to that, per 2.1.4, and I'll just read part of that. I already mentioned some of it before. GRF bylaws 2.1.4 provides that a vote of the corporate members is required if the value of the GRF requested improvement is worth at least $500,000. The improvement portion of the Performing Arts Center project exceeds this amount. Since the value of the total project will potentially cost in excess of $5.5 million, it is a fiduciary responsibility of all board members to have a vote on the expenditure of such a large sum that will impact the community. Now, therefore, be it resolved June 9, 2020, that the board of directors of this corporation hereby requests a special corporate members meeting be called on behalf of the United Mutual Board of Directors in accordance with GRF bylaws, paragraph 5.3, to vote on whether approval of the corporate members is required before the GRF board may construct, contract, and otherwise expand funds in connection with the Performing Arts Center maintenance improvement project pursuant to GRF bylaws, paragraph 2.1.6, GRF bylaws 2.1.7. Let me just add that at this particular point in time, there is a bone of contention among various different people as to whether or not this whole project is considered a maintenance project, which would not fall under the requirements of 2.1.4 for $500,000, or part of it is an improvement project. We have taken the tack, and I've provided to Jeff Beaumont my understanding of why part of this project is actually an improvement project, and it exceeds the $500,000 by a number in excess by 2 or 3 times that. And we feel that as a result of that, it is our fiduciary responsibility to have an all boards meeting so that all the boards will be able to decide based on their observations as to whether or not we want to go forward with this construction contract. Sue said before that the vote was 5-5, and then it was 5-6. There was a whole hokey thing going on there. I understand they had another meeting yesterday, and supposedly now it is passed. So they feel they have a complete open gate to go forward with this on their own volition. And we, as the United Board, and we're getting some feelings from Third, feel that we know we need to basically be involved because there's a lot of money at stake right now. So at this particular point in time, I move this motion to have to request an all boards meeting to discuss and to vote on this particular project.
Is there a second?
I'll second that. And I'd like to add one clarification. According to the information that's provided here, it says we have the right to call a meeting. So I think we ought to phrase it to GRF that way, that we are calling a meeting, not that we're requesting a meeting. Thank you.
We relied, Siobhan and her people put this together based on a previous request. So I went based on that. Siobhan, can you talk to that, please?
Yes, I can. I'm looking
I
at,
don't think
I'm sorry. Can I go ahead?
we're calling the meeting. You're absolutely correct. Okay, I'm going to start the vote. Patch? Yes. Elsie?
Yes.
Meta?
Yes.
Manuel?
Yes.
Reza?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Anthony?
No.
Carl?
Yes.
Juanita?
Yes.
Andre?
Yes. Would Carl send us the proposal and so we can look into details?
Okay. We are calling for this meeting, and we will pass this. Bunny has asked us to do this, so it is, and Steve has asked us to do this since we were the next meeting. Okay. We are through 12. We're on to committee reports. Let's start with our financials.
I'm sorry,
Yep.
Sue. I'm sorry. I was having trouble with my on button, and I couldn't get to because something you said at the very end where you said Bunny has requested this.
Yes.
Well, then why didn't they request?
They voted, except for her board voted against it.
Voted against calling the all board meeting.
Yes.
So that was a separate vote from whether or not they went ahead with the construction project.
No, it was the same vote.
Excuse me, Sue, can I add to,
Well,
Elsie?
let's let Siobhan in first, okay?
Fine, okay.
Sue, I just want to clarify that you're requesting or calling a corporate members meeting, not an all boards meeting. It's a corporate members.
Meeting, okay.
Oh, whoa. Could we have some clarification on that, Siobhan? Because I thought it was a corporate. Could you? So what is? Could you say what that is? That's all boards though, isn't it? No.
Yes, but it's called a special meeting of the corporate members. That is what the recommendation pertains to.
Oh, good. So we're not recommending going out to all the residents and taking one of those votes.
Okay. We're on to committee reports.
I want to find clarification. So it's a GRF corporate member meeting.
No, it's an all. It's all board. Okay, a GRF corporate member. That's fine.
Yeah, that's probably more precise. Okay.
Reza.
Sue, I just wanted to add that comment that I had with Elsie's question. Can I do that?
Sure.
GRF's lawyer at this particular point in time is taking the tack, and his read on the 2.1.4 is that this project does not require an all boards meeting because it's considered to be maintenance. And as I said, I provided input to Jeff Beaumont, our lawyer, a request from Sue as to why portions of this project are not maintenance. They're actually improvements, refurbishments, and changes in design that would put it under improvements. Therefore, it requires an all boards vote because it exceeds, that portion at least exceeds the $500,000.
Thank you, Carl. I got that. I was just confused about how, if Bunny wanted us to have this vote, why they didn't vote on it. And but I think I'm starting to read between the lines here. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But I get the basic requirement. Necessity.
So we are going to. Okay, Reza, you had a question.
No, I wanted to comment on something Carl said about Pushmatic, but it passed through and I didn't get a chance. He mentioned that we are changing Pushmatic to GE. I believe it was Cutler Hammer, not GE. If it's changed now, I don't know.
Okay, thank you. Anthony?
Madam Chair, what's the cost for us to have a corporate board meeting or shareholders meeting? What's the cost of that?
It is $0 because it's only us. We're volunteers.
Okay.
Okay? And the staff is there already.
And this is not a shareholders meeting.
No, this is off. It is the board members in a corporate meeting.
Sue, I think we had enough. Let's keep going.
Yeah, we're starting the reports. Brian.
Thank you. We're having monthly finance committee meetings, and the last one was held May 29th. Next one will be held June 30th, and that will be a virtual meeting. I believe that's at 1:30. Can we share the slides? Thank you. This slide is showing the income statement, and this includes assessment revenue of just over 14 million. And I should mention here that this is all preliminary as of April 30th, 2020. And this slide includes all assessment revenue and does not show which bucket it's going into. That will be shown in the next slides. Our non-assessment revenue is shown there with our total revenue and total expenses. So we had a net revenue positive. Move on to the next slide. Now this is our operating only income statement. And so this has we've taken out the contingency and the reserve funds, and basically they replicate the same numbers to show an operating surplus of $417,000. Next slide is our actual and budget and variance, and as you might expect, the COVID has positively impacted the budget. We should not draw too many conclusions about that, because there's a lot of decisions and a lot of uncertainty about how projects could or could not be accelerated and other things. But this shows a variance, a positive variance here of just about $2 million. Breaking down onto the next slide, there was a positive on outside services, materials and supplies, employee compensation, unrealized gains on AFS, and utilities and telephone. Again, we have an unfavorable as far as insurance goes, but we know why that is, so we can explain that. Moving on to the pie chart is our total non-assessment revenues. I'll just pause a minute to let people look at that. And again, this is cumulative over April, as of April 30th. Taking out sewer, water, trash, electricity, and telephone, taking out or including property taxes. I guess I reversed them. On the next slide is again our total expenses. And what I wanted to do is just point out there that the utilities are broken off in that box with sewer, water, trash, electricity, and telephone. Even though it's only 9% or of our expenses with taxes, it's still something that could impact through water and sewer and all that. We do see fluctuations on that. Next slide is total. Total expenses excluding property and sales tax is just over $9 million. Sorry, I think Grant's running the slides. I'm either confused with Grant. We're on the last pie slide chart there. And moving on to the next slide, non-operating fund balances, and we've had some discussion on this before. If we look at contingency and reserve funds, contingency is down almost $400,000, and that's because we've had some come in through the assessments, but almost $600,000 go out through expenditures, mainly due to moisture intrusion. And then reserve is just over $17 million. Again, we've had some come in and go out, and so we have a reserve of just over $18 million. And keep in mind, projects are delayed, slowed down because of the virus. So, but there was a plan to manage the reserve fund so that we are adhere to the guidelines. And that is shown on the next slide. And what we have there is the average line, and it should be showing up in your color slides, the reserve or replacement fund, as they call it, along with the contingency fund. And you can see it's actually going up. And, I think this explains some of the questions that Mr. Holland and others had about the loss in 2019. You could see that there was funds spent out of the reserve funds in 2019 and in contingency for that matter. Moving on to resale history. Now this is again impacted by the COVID, and I think your reports will show what the activity was as of April. And actually there was having to flip through pages here. There was actually, I think, 18 units sold, in May within the mutual, which is pretty good, considering the COVID. And the price realization was actually a little bit up. So, despite the virus, it's not looking too bad. I think there's always a delay with that number, and of course, there's people on board who knows that better than me. It'll be interesting to see how those numbers play out in a month or two. I think that's the end of the slides. So I'll conclude this presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Teresa, do you want to give a quick on the architectural? No, I guess I asked Elsie to do this.
Yeah, I have a question about the financial report. May I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, at the end of on the report, physical report, the paper version, it has a statement of revenue and expense, preliminary report for April 30th, 2020. Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong. I understand nonprofit organizations use fund accounting because each fund has its own special purposes. Okay, they cannot commingle the together. That's the whole idea of a fund accounting. And each fund should have its own balance sheet and revenue expense report. However, we don't have any revenue expense report for the contingency, and we don't have any income.
I think your question should be brought up at the finance meeting, and I don't believe it's appropriate for this meeting. Let's move on. Thank you.
Sue, can I just address that for real briefly?
Yeah,
and that is the board does receive, it's over a 30-page document from, it comes in an email from Chris Swanson through the massive email distribution system. And those funds are broken out within those pages. And I think if you would to go into that document and look at them, you would see how the funds are broken out and how then the costs are allocated against those funds, dependent upon whether it's appropriate to allocate those costs against those funds. So I ask you to take a little bit deeper look at that. Thank you.
My question is,
Manny,
it's not reported here.
excuse me, Andre. First of all, fund accounting does not apply to HOAs. Fund accounting is used for governmental agency, okay? The only place where we do accounting as supplementary information is with reserves. And we account for the regular reserves and we account for contingency reserves. It's the only place. It has nothing to do with fund accounting per se. We also have departmental information.
Discussion at the finance meeting. Thank you. We'll have this discussion at the finance meeting. This is not the place for this discussion. So, Elsie, please come on board.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry, I was really following that, and it was interesting. But okay, the report of the Architectural Control and Standards Committee. The last committee meeting was on February the 20th, 2020. There was a mini meeting at the agenda prep for last meeting, but that was very limited in scope. And the next meeting, and I'm sorry I missed this on the agenda, when we approved this agenda, but we are having a meeting, or at least one is scheduled for, one never knows, for the 18th of June, and I'm verifying that, and it is the 18th of June at 9:30 a.m. It will be a virtual meeting. And that's all I've got to report. Thank you.
Okay, Juanita, is there anything on the communication?
The third volume of The Breeze is in production, and I'm looking for articles for the fourth volume. If any director or particularly committee chairs have the reports that they'd like to get Breeze, please send it to me or probably both, Elsie and myself.
Thank you. Thank you. Anthony?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our committee hasn't met since February, and it looks like we're going to try to have a meeting on June 25th. And since we haven't had it in 3 months, I don't know how busy it's going to be, but I will get together with staff. And it looks like we're going to try a virtual meeting on June 25th at 9 a.m. That's the extent of my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Governing docs? Andre?
Yes, governing doc met on May 21st. It's a virtual meeting, so we discussed a few issues, but we focused mostly on code of conduct. We didn't make a lot of changes because everything's pretty much conform with what we're currently doing. And we talked about all board members must present themselves to our members with high levels of professionalism during our meetings, as well as when meetings are not held. And we also add a clause that says all open and closed board, committee, subcommittee meetings assigned under the board shall be announced to the public and restrict the audience with schedule and discussion review material distributed before the meeting. This one I propose basically because during the solar panel project, the lead of that task force didn't want to make any announcement, make any public scheduling, and didn't distribute anything at all. That is causing the problem, and somehow the board approved that, and I think that's adequate. So we want to make sure that from now on, all the meetings will be under the board will be announced to the public and restrict the audience, which means closed meeting with schedule and a discussion review material distributed before the meeting, and that was passed. So that took the whole time we discussed about during the review meeting. Our next meeting will be scheduled on Thursday, June 18th, next week at 1:30, which will be a virtual meeting. Anybody who's interested in should join us, and we can talk about a few issues like sales packet that we need to do and continue to discuss about the code of conduct. And we will also review the occupancy agreement Article 3, specifically talk about Article 3, so everybody understand why we do things this way. All right, that's my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Manuel, landscape.
Thank you, Sue, Madam Chair. The last landscape committee meeting that was held by United was on February 13th, 2020. I have previously reported on that meeting twice. And our next meeting is going to be held this Thursday, June the 11th at 9:30 a.m. And it's going to be a virtual meeting. And if anybody is interested in it, they should be able to watch it on Channel 6. Thank you.
Okay. Carl, maintenance.
So on May 15th at 1 p.m., we had a virtual MNC meeting to address issues concerning the pandemic and how it will affect the work that we will be doing this year. We also reviewed issues regarding our increase in the moisture intrusion events that we have seen this year. And Brian noted that the costs for moisture intrusion this year were a little bit high. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that almost half of the water intrusion events this year had to do with rain. We had a lot of rain this year, and unfortunately, we found that there was some leaks in various different places that we didn't know would occur. So we did that. Our next meeting is planned for June 24th at 9 a.m. It'll be a virtual meeting. At that meeting, we will again discuss the work that will need to be done this year and when we will be bringing back our workers to do it. Some of this information was presented by Jeff today. We'll go into a little bit more detail with Ernesto. This is one of the things I'm putting a public service announcement out with regard to this, and that residents can observe the meeting via Granicus. And in most cases, the Granicus is being used for most of the meetings where you actually can go into Granicus and actually observe them. You can get there by clicking on the top of, go to the Laguna Woods Village website and then click on the link at the top that is identified as residents. Then you get to the next screen, which will show a column that is identified as governance. And at the bottom of that list of items in that column, you will find a link that is identified as view board meetings. As soon as you see that view board meetings, you will click and you'll go to a next page, and it'll show you a list of the meetings that will be going into Granicus. Most of the open meetings, and I say most because sometimes we forget, should be listed there for the past meetings and future meetings. And what I would suggest is that each week when we have that blast go out and we talk about upcoming meetings, maybe we should throw that link in there, Siobhan. But I'll leave that up to you. Because then, since the meetings are listed, then maybe you can put the link in there and then they can click on the link and it'll be going. So anyway, that's enough on MNC. So if you want to join us, go to Granicus and find it the way I mentioned via the Laguna Woods Village website. Thank you.
Okay, and Meta?
Thank you. United Resident Advisory Committee is honored to serve the members' concern. Please share your concern and solution with us. When you go to the Laguna Woods Village website, you can see my email. My email is n.ardani@yahoo.com, and you can send me an email. We covered a few emails during this month, and we take care of it. And the last meeting was on March 12th. And the next meeting is going to be announced.
Okay, Brian, we're going on to the GRF.
Yes, we'll have, we had our GRF Finance Committee meeting April 22nd. That was reported in last meeting. And our next one will be June 24th at 1:30, and it will be a virtual meeting.
Okay. Juanita, the CAC.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The CAC committee met on May 14th, and our next meeting will be this Thursday, June 11th at 1:30. It is a virtual meeting, and again, as been mentioned, you can look on Granicus for it, not on TV6.
Do you have an agenda, anything important on the agenda?
No,
Okay.
I don't have any big items.
Okay. Manuel, you're going to have landscape.
Okay. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Sue, Madam Chair. The last meeting that was held by the GRF Landscape Committee was held on February 12th. And our next meeting hasn't been announced yet, to be determined. Thank you.
Carl, maintenance, GRF maintenance. Carl, please turn your mic on. It's very difficult to hear you.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult when you don't put the mic on. Exactly, you know. Something about electronics not working. I apologize. A closed meeting of GRF MNC Committee was held virtually on April 8th. I reported on that meeting at our last board meeting. The next GRF MNC meeting is scheduled for tomorrow, June 10th at 9:30 a.m. This will be a virtual meeting, and you can access that meeting via Granicus, just like I explained before. And hopefully we'll have a link in the blast each week. And now, what's not listed here is the PAC, and I've talked about the PAC a lot. I just wanted to say that a PAC ad hoc committee meeting met on May 14th, and at that meeting, the award for the full budget of approximately $5.5 million was ratified to conduct maintenance and make upgrades to the Performing Arts Center. And then it went off to the board. At that meeting, this director voted against that proposal. And that's where we stand on PAC.
Okay, Juanita, the Media and Communication.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Media Communications meeting was held May 18th, 2020. Our next meeting will be Monday, June 15th at 1:30, a virtual meeting. And again, we'll probably be talking about the new issue of the brief.
LC, the mobility and vehicles.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Does anybody remember the Mobility and Vehicles Committee? I barely do. It last met on February the 5th, 2020, and the next meeting will be August 5th, 2020 at 1:30 p.m. And gosh, that was a long hiatus. That'll be 6 months without a mobility meeting. So hopefully we'll have it on August the 5th, 2020, location to be announced at 1:30. Thank you.
Has there been any feedback on how the buses are running?
I'm embarrassed to tell you, I've just been staying at home, and my usual form of communication, out and about, it has been no, to answer your question.
Okay.
Not personally, no.
Not personally. Netta?
Yeah, I think the same as security and community aspects, because the last one is February 24th, and the next meeting is going to be August 24th, 1:30. Location is to be announced.
Okay. And Elsie, the traffic court's going to be held again. Elsie, you want to tell about that?
Yes, and again, during the hiatus, it's been very fortunate. There are fewer and fewer cars on the roads, and I haven't checked with compliance, but I'm guessing, fortunately, that our notices of violation have been few and far between, just because there's nobody on the roads, or there hasn't been, or very few. But of course, I don't know that for sure. The last hearing was held on February the 19th, and the next hearing will be held on June the 17th at 9 a.m., and I'm assuming that's going to be a virtual meeting. Of course, well, I don't know if it is or not. I just don't know. But hopefully we'll know more soon. So the next traffic meeting will be held on June 17th, again, at 9 a.m. And That's it. Thank you.
Okay, and the disaster preparedness?
Chair, I'd like to point out that it is traffic hearing. It is not a court. We don't have a traffic court.
If I said court, I apologize, Mrs. Stillman. I meant hearing. If I said court, I meant hearing.
I said court, probably. I don't know. Let's go with disaster preparedness.
Yeah, the disaster preparedness is meeting again on July 28th, and they have a couple of things to do. One is to add to the village emergency operating plan. They're going to add so that in any future pandemic, we have a preparation in hand. Second, they're going to be creating a subcommittee for community animal disaster plan, which we don't have. Also, the clubhouse disaster first aid medical cabinetry inventory will be done, and discussions on the 2020 October shakeout will be discussed. An annual summer barbecue for GNC, the Good Neighbor Captains, what will happen will be discussed. Also, what has happened is every month radio drills have continued without stoppage, and GNC assisted distributing mass a couple of times, and all training classes have been closed because of the pandemic. And the scheduled meeting July 28th, but the location is not determined yet. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I've asked the VMS conference to put up the phone number for the Friday meeting. Is there a slide that you can put up with the phone number and the email address? Okay, we'll go for director's comments. Hopefully you can put that together.
Did you have a question for me? I didn't.
No. I was asking the VMS conference presenter, or Siobhan or somebody, to make a quick slide. Okay, let's go for director's comments. Let's start out with, let's do it in the alphabetical order that I've been going. Cash is first.
Well, excellent meeting again. I'm sorry I didn't have much to contribute other than a little bit on the DPTF. Thank you. Everybody have a good day.
Okay, well, you got the afternoon to go. Elsie?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to congratulate the whole community, as well as staff and us, of course, naturally, for the good work on keeping this pandemic down. We can't get cocky. We need to be careful, I think, with the opening. And I think Jeff and Siobhan are wise in their guidance on caution over everything. Because, I mean, it's terrible that we've had 10 cases in Laguna Woods, but that is so much better than what's been happening in senior communities all over America. So everybody stay safe.
Netta?
Just I want to say thank you. Thank you from everybody that's, hardworking and stay at home, do all the precautions. And thank you so much. That's it.
Manuel?
Thank you, Sue. I'd like to tag on to those comments too and say thanks to Siobhan and Jeff and the whole VMS group for keeping us safe. Let's all practice the good protocols to continue that way. One reminder is, Sue, at the Finance Committee meeting, I think another meeting, I requested that we be provided with the input from all the directors regarding the budgets. And Betty had asked you if that was okay to provide that, and you said, yes, go ahead and do it. I haven't seen anything on that yet. And in connection with that, we have the budget process is starting basically next month. I know staff will be working on it pretty heavy this month. And I have a lot of members that keep asking me about how can they be included in those meetings to find out what's going on and what's going to happen with the assessments. They've also raised the issue that there must be some substantial savings from the coronavirus as far as less expenses in wages. So they like to see some of that effect roll to next year's budget. And I said I would mention it. I'm not sure exactly how they'll work into that. They should be considered. So, I'd like some answers to some of those things. Thank you.
Okay, Reza?
No comment.
Brian?
No comment.
Anthony? Carl?
Yeah, I want to tag on to everybody else and thank everybody. Everybody's doing a great job with regard to this pandemic issue. I also want to provide another public service announcement, which I shared with Siobhan this past week. It was the time that I had seen the most egregious misinterpretation of what the word recycle bin should be. Everybody knows that there's blue recycle bins in the community, and I went to put my recycle into a bin, and when I looked in the bin, I have seen things in there that are bicycles, which people feel that metals are recyclable. I've seen in there chairs because they feel wood is recyclable. I had never seen lawn waste in there. I mean, tremendous amounts of lawn waste in there, whereby they felt that mulching goes into a recycle bin, okay? That's the most egregious misinterpretation I've ever seen in my whole life. The only thing that goes in a recycle bin is cans, bottles, paper, and cardboard. And mulch is not one of those things. So when the trash guy came by, I notified him that bin is actually not going to have recyclables. And he dumped it into the trash truck because that would have spoiled everything that was in the the recycle truck, and that would have the whole load would have had to get dumped. So as a result of that, please, recycle is just those items: cans, bottles, cardboard, and paper. Chairs, bicycles, and what have you, they may be recyclable, but you go to the junkyard with those. Thank you.
Juanita?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had a little accident on Sunday and shattered my wrist. I'm not getting around as much. I just wanted to let you and the rest of them know I would not be able to come up to the community center to sign packages for a while. I'm not allowed to drive. I go to the orthopedist on Monday, and if they put it in a hard cast, I may be able to drive after that. But I'm very limited on how I can get around right now.
Do you need any assistance for groceries or anything?
I'm very fortunate. I have two daughters in the area who cover and other friends who have been looking in. So, no, thank you very much.
Okay. Andre?
Yes, thank you very much. This is a great meeting. I just want to make an announcement. I still have a lot of free face masks. I'm giving away free to those who really need some. Usually I'll be distributing at the creek during the concert event level over there. And also a lot of time I'll be at Sociega around gate 9 in the small parking lot for the condo residents there. As far as face mask, we are initially I was also considering whether you wear it or you don't wear it. Turn out there are a lot of gray areas in between. Sometimes they don't wear face masks at all. Sometimes they wear it at the chin level. Sometimes they cover at the mouth level. Sometimes they cover the whole nose and everything. So, and the reason for half the coverage is because they consider as long as I have a social distance, that will be sufficient. That's not really the case. And I've observed people walking close by and they didn't have the face mask cover their face, the whole face. Okay. As far as fund accounting is concerned, for nonprofit organization, this is for nonprofit organization for earmarked item, so they won't commingle. For example, we have a donor donated money, or we have a grant from somewhere, or we have money set aside specific for certain purpose and should not be commingled with other things. So that's the whole fund accounting is concerned. And we need to really look at seriously identify a few fund accounting practices. Currently, the contingency fund is commingled with the operating fund completely. Okay, they can dip in there anytime they want. Or
Okay, Andre.
Yeah.
Andre doesn't know what he's talking about.
Okay, thank you, everybody. What time do you want to meet back? It's 11:30 now. Should we meet back?
How about 12? Quick.
12. Anybody have a problem with 12? Okay, I'll see you at noon.